Chapter 7. Spencer's got a tight posterior deltoid. Look at his butt. Shut up, Spencer knocked her friend Kirsten Cullen in the shin guard with her hockey field stick. They were supposed to be running defense drills, but they, along with the rest of the team, were too busy sizing up the new assistant coach. He was none other than Ian Thomas. Spencer's skin prickled with adrenaline. Talk about weird. She remembered Melissa mentioning that Ian had moved to California. But then, a lot of people who you wouldn't expect ended up back in Rosewood. Your sister was so stupid to break up with him, Kirsten said. He's so hot. Shh, Spencer answered, giggling. And anyway, my sister didn't break up with him. He broke up with her. The whistle blew. Get moving, Ian called to them, jogging over. Spencer leaned over to tie her shoe as if she didn't care. She felt his eyes on her. Spencer? Spencer Hastings? Spencer stood up slowly. Oh, Ian, right? Ian's smile was so wide, Spencer was surprised his cheeks didn't rip. He still had that all-American, I'm going to take over my father's company at 25 look. But now his curly hair was a little longer and messier. You're all grown up, he cried. I guess, Spencer shrugged. Ian ran his hand against the back of his neck. How's your sister these days? She's good. Graduated early going to Wharton. Ian bent his head down. Are all her boyfriends still hitting on you? Spencer's mouth dropped open. Before she could answer, the head coach, Miss Campbell, blew her whistle and called Ian over. Kirsten grabbed Spencer's arm once his back was turned. You totally hooked up with him, didn't you? Shut up, Spencer shot back. As Ian jogged to center field, he glanced back over his shoulder at her. Spencer drew in her breath and leaned over to examine her cleat. She didn't want him to know she'd been staring. By the time she got home from practice, every part of Spencer's body hurt, from her ass to her shoulders to her little toes. She'd spent the whole summer organizing committees, boning up for SAT words, and playing the lead in 3 different plays. Muesli, Rosewood's Community Theater, Miss Jean Brodie, The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, Emily in Our Town, and Ophelia in Hamlet. With all that, she hadn't had time to keep up in top shape for field hockey, and she was feeling it now. All she wanted to do was go upstairs, crawl into bed, and not think about tomorrow and what overachieving day would hold. French club breakfast, reading the morning announcements, 5 AP classes, drama tryouts, a quick appearance at yearbook committee, and another grueling field hockey practice with Ian. She opened the mailbox at the bottom of their private drive, hoping to find the scores for her PSATs. They were supposed to be in any day now, and she'd had a good feeling about them. A better feeling, in fact, than she'd ever had about her other tests. Unfortunately, there were a pile of bills, info from her dad's many investment accounts, and a brochure addressed to Miss Spencer J. for Jill Hastings from Appleboro College in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Yeah, as if she'd go there. Inside the house, she put the mail on the marble-topped kitchen island, rubbed her shoulders, and had a thought. The backyard hot tub, a relaxing soak. Aw, yeah. She greeted Rufus and Beatrice, the family's 2 labradoodles, and threw a couple King Kong toys out into the front yard for them to chase. Then she dragged herself along the flagstone path towards the pool's changing room. Pausing at the door, ready to shower and change into her bikini, she realized, who cares? She was too tired to change and nobody was home, and the hot tub was surrounded by rose bushes. As she approached it, it rumbled, as if anticipating her arrival. She stripped down to her bra undies and tall field hockey socks, did a deep forward bend to loosen up her back, and climbed into the steaming tub. Now that was more like it. Oh. Spencer turned. Red stood next to the roses, naked to the waist, wearing the sexiest boxer brief polo underwear she'd ever seen. Oops, he said, covering himself with a towel. Sorry. You don't get here till tomorrow, she blurted, even though he was clearly here right now, which was obviously today and not tomorrow at all. We don't, but your sister and I were at the Frau, Wren said, making a little face. Frau was this haughty store a few towns over that sold single pillowcases for about $1,000. She had to run another errand and told me to play with myself here. Spencer hoped that was just some bizarre English expression. Oh, she said. Did you just get home? I was at field hockey, Spencer said, leaning back and relaxing a little bit. First practice of the year. Spencer glanced at her blurry body under the water. Oh God, she was still wearing her socks, and her high-waisted sweaty panties and Champion sports bra. She kicked herself for not changing into the yellow bikini she just bought, but then realized how absurd that was. So, I was just planning to have a soak, but if you want to be alone, that's okay too, Wren said. I'll just go inside and watch TV. He started to turn. Spencer felt a tiny twinge of disappointment. No, she said. He stopped. You can come in if you want, I don't care. Quickly, while his back was turned, she yanked off her socks and threw them into the bushes. They landed with a soggy slap. If you're sure, Spencer, Wren said. Spencer loved the way he said her name with his British accent. Spencer. He shyly slid into the tub. Spencer stayed very far on her side, curling her legs under her. Wren leaned his head on the back of the concrete deck inside. Spencer did the same and tried not to think about how her legs were getting really cramped and sore in this position. She stretched one attentively and touched Wren's calf. She jerked her leg away. Sorry. No worries, Wren said. It's a field hockey, huh? I rode for Oxford. Really? Spencer said, hoping she didn't sound too gushy. Her favorite driving into Philadelphia site was one of Penn and Temple's men's crew teams rowing on the Schuylkill River. Yeah, he said. I love it. Do you love field hockey? Not really. Spencer took her hair out of its ponytail and shook her head around, but then wondered if Wren would find this really skanky and ridiculous. She'd probably imagine the spark between them outside of Moshulu. But then, Wren had gotten into the hot tub with her. So if you don't like field hockey, why do you play? Wren asked. Because it looked good on a college application. Now Wren sat up a little, making the water ripple. It does? Yeah. Spencer shifted and winced when her shoulder muscles crammed into her neck. You okay? Wren asked. Yeah, it's nothing, Spencer said, feeling overwhelming wave of despair. It was only the first day of school and she was already burned out. She thought of all the homework she had to do, lists she had to make, and lines she had to memorize. She was too busy to freak out, but that was the only thing keeping them from freaking out. Is it your shoulder? I think, Spencer said, trying to rotate it. In field hockey, you spend so much time bending over, and I don't know if I pulled it or what. I bet I could fix it for you. Spencer stared at him. She suddenly had an urge to run her fingers through his shaggy hair. That's okay, thanks though. Really, he said, I'm not going to bite you. Spencer hated when people said that. I'm a doctor, Wren continued. I bet it's your posterior deltoid. Okay. Your shoulder muscle. He motioned for her to come closer. Come here, seriously. We just need to soften the muscle. Spencer tried not to read into that. He was a doctor after all. He was being doctorly. She drifted to him and he pressed his hands into the middle of her back. His thumbs dug into the little muscles around her spine. Spencer closed her eyes. Wow, that's awesome, she murmured. You just have some fluid build up in your bursa sac, he said. Spencer tried not to giggle at the word sac. When he reached into her sports bra to dig deeper, she swallowed hard. She tried to think about non-sexual things. Her Uncle Daniel's nose hairs, the constipated look her mother got on her face when she rode a horse, the time her cat Kitten carried a dead mole from the creek out back and left it in her bedroom. He's a doctor, she told herself. This is just what doctors do. Your pectorals are a little tight too, Wren said, and horrifyingly moved his hand in front of her body. He slid his fingers under her bra again, rubbing just above her chest, and suddenly the bra strap fell over her shoulder. Spencer breathed in, but didn't move away. This is a doctor thing, she reminded herself again. But then she realized, Wren was a first-year med student. He will be a doctor, she corrected herself, one day in about 10 years. Where's my sister? She asked quietly. The store, I think. Wawa? Wawa? Spencer jerked away from Wren and pulled her bra strap back on her shoulder. Wawa's only a mile away. If she's going there, she's just picking up cigarettes or something. She'll be back any minute. I don't think she smokes, Wren said, tilting his head questioningly. You know what I mean. Spencer stood up in the tub, grabbed her Ralph Lauren towel, and began violently drying her hair. She felt so hot. Her skin, bones, even her organs and nerves felt like they'd been bruised in the hot tub. She climbed out and fled to the house in search of a giant glass of water. Spencer, Wren called out to her. I didn't mean to. I was trying to help. Spencer didn't listen. She ran up to her room and looked around. Her stuff was still in boxes, still packed up to move to the barn. Suddenly, she wanted everything organized. Her jewelry box needed to be sorted by gemstone. Her computer was clogged with old English papers from 2 years ago, and even though they'd gotten A's back then, they were probably embarrassingly bad and should be deleted. She stared at the books in the boxes. They needed to be arranged by subject matter, not by author. Obviously. She pulled them out and started shelving, starting with Adultery and the Scarlet Letter. By the time she got to Utopia's Gone Wrong, she didn't feel any better, so she switched onto her computer and pressed her wireless mouse, which was comfortingly cool, to the back of her neck. She clicked on her email and saw an unopened letter. The subject line read SAT vocab. Curious, she clicked on it. Spencer. Covet is an easy one. When someone covets something, they desire and lust after it. Usually it's something they can't have. You've always had that problem, though, haven't you? A. Spencer's stomach seized. She looked around. Who the fuck could have seen? She threw her bedroom door's biggest window open, but the Hastings circular driveway was empty. Spencer looked around. A few cars swished by. The neighbor's lawn service guy was trimming a hedge by their front gate. Her dogs were chasing each other around the side yard. Some birds flew to the top of a telephone pole. Then something caught her eye in the neighbor's upstairs window, a flash of blondish hair. But wasn't the new family black? An icy shiver crept up Spencer's spine. That was Allie's old window.